what you'll normally get is no matter how like you can be far crazier with a professional because they're not emotional about it. You're like, so basically, I want to give you $1 for it, and I want to pay it 1 penny a year for 100 years. What do you think about that? And be like, okay, well, so that's probably a little bit lower than we. I mean, like that's how a professional is going to approach it because they don't want to blow the deal. They know that buyers are precious, offers are precious.
So my question is about negotiations. I am meeting with a seller next week to negotiate terms and valuation for a business. And this person used to be an investment banker and used to do mergers and acquisitions all the time. And I'm not sure how to approach an experienced negotiation person, having had little experience myself doing it. So I'm wondering if you have any tips with working with someone that kind of knows the investment banking acquisition negotiation side of things. I don't really know what to
I
expect from him.
I do, and what I will tell you two things. I'll tell you something, and then I'll tell you a story. The thing I'll tell you is that they are generally the easiest people to deal with because they are more educated and experienced. So I find that I look forward to dealing with those people because I don't have to deal with a ridiculous valuation that is pulled out of thin air based on it being their baby that they created from scratch, right? So I would be first excited about that and understand that it should be a smoother, more professional, reasonable negotiation than
Mhm.
dealing with somebody that's a founder. Then the second thing I'll tell you is the story, which is Sam Karamian, who some of you guys may know, is one of our coaches and is a business partner that we have on several deals. And Sam is an experienced entrepreneur who has raised capital and done several deals, but had never negotiated with an investment banker before. And he called me and said, we've got this guy. We're selling one part of one of our companies, and I've got an idea of what I want to do, but this guy's an investment banker. He's like, he knows all the tricks. He's done hundreds of deals. This is a tiny little deal for him. I'm nervous about that. Will you get on the call with me? And I said, I will get on the call with you, but this is just another human being doing a deal that's going to be far more invested in a logical outcome than most of the people that you've dealt with in the past. And I said, so let's role play it. And we did. And we went back and forth. And he ended up going, I said, so do you still want me on the call? And he said, no, I think I can handle it. And he did it. And everything went exactly as we hoped. He was a good negotiator and got us, I'd say, maybe two fallback positions back from, six that we had. But we ended up with a great deal. And so you've got this. You can ask here. We can role play if you want to on this call. We can do it right now if you want to. But really, if you kind of know what you're willing to do and you can be creative, those people generally make their living by getting deals done, by not doing deals. So they generally come in predisposed and biased towards making the deal happen. And so I think if you think about that, it's they don't know anything that you're going to make a terrible mistake as a result of you not knowing, because you can always come back to us. So if you find yourself in territory that is unfamiliar or uncomfortable, or you don't understand something they're saying, then just listen and write it down and say, okay, I think what you're saying is, repeat it to them to be sure that you've got what they're saying and they confirm it. And then say, let me talk to my board about it, or let me talk to my advisors about it, or let me talk to my attorney about it, and get back to you. And then you can come and chat with us about it and we can talk it out. But there won't be anything that, like, the Sicilian undercut. That's not going to happen. Like, there's nothing like that that's out there. So it's just a deal.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I hadn't thought about that way. I was expecting him to come with the usual, like, start with a completely out of bounds deal so that we'll eventually meet in the middle somewhere and all those,
Yeah,
techniques and things like that. But
usually they're like, is he representing a fund, or is it just something he has, or what?
so he's the owner. It's
Okay.
him and his wife, and we're
Okay.
gonna buy the business from him. And he used to be an investment banker, and he left investment banking to start his own businesses. This is just one of his couple of businesses he wants to offload, basically.
Yeah, so
Uh,
he should be aware of the value range, and he's
yeah.
generally going to start within the value range that you already know. He,
Okay.
might start at the higher end, although very often, like the more professional they are and the more experienced they are when you're dealing with funds, they'll just tell you, we generally pay between 6 and 8 on something like this and blah, blah, blah. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get an 11 or 12 or 15, because I have, but they're not crazy, which
Okay.
is a huge advantage to start from, not crazy.
Right, right. Yeah, definitely. So far, it's been really good. It's been easy to go through financials with him. I was planning on starting with the usual, here's my low end 80%, not telling me it's a low, but here's what I value it at. 80% seller financing would be great. And then kind of see where he goes from there. We have a couple of contingencies to fall back on, including an earnout,
I love it.
things like that. And then I just didn't want to turn him off by saying like, this is the deal. We'd like 80% seller financing. And he'd be like, no, this is ridiculous.
That's the
You
other
know?
cool thing. And I'll tell you guys, most of the time, non-crazy people don't don't hear something like that and say, "Well, I'm so insulted, I'm never going to talk to you again." I have had it happen once,
Okay.
and in my life, and I think it was last year, and the guy was just like, he was a guy I would never want to do business with. It was just the minute that we talked about doing a deal that way, he was like, "Oh, I don't know why you're even here. You're wasting my time. And, this is why would I ever sell my business?" And it was
Yeah.
like, I would never want to do business with you. You are, you're just a jerk. And so like that's a blessing if that happens, because that person
Yeah.
will be litigious and problem the whole time. But I can tell you, out of all the things I've done, that's the only time I can ever remember that happening. And what you'll normally get is, no matter how like, you can be far crazier with a professional because they're not emotional about it. You're like, so basically, I want to give you $1 for it, and I want to pay it 1 penny a year for 100 years. What do you think about that? And be like, okay, well, so that's probably a little bit lower than I mean, like, that's how a professional is going to approach it, because they don't want to blow the deal. They know that buyers are precious, offers are precious. So, and you never know where you might end up. So that's to me, it's a positive thing to be dealing with somebody like that. So my guess is, if you say that and it doesn't work, to say, listen, man, I really appreciate that, and I totally understand, and that's how I would want to do it if I were you, but I really see that the value is here, and we also have some things that we're going to do that are going to require some capital, and so I can't really do that. What I can do is, and then you're in the negotiation.